A great time.
When you're watching this, does it feel like we're crunched into a corner? Shouldn't we be like taking up more of the bed and like in a relaxed thing? Or does it feel, you know what I'm saying?
This is the reality of van life. We're smushed in the corner in a big van. We really wanted to give you guys a fresh new angle in the van. Do we look uncomfortable or do we look like we're lounging?
Guys, I'm sick again.
Allie was sick and then Allie got Trent sick and then Trent got better and now Allie is sick again.
It's so terrible. When you're a kid, being sick is the best. You get to stay home from school, watch TV, sleep all day. It's amazing. When you're an adult, it's the worst thing in the world. I do not want to be sick at all.
Yeah, takes away from all the fun activities.
For sure. So I apologize for all of this. I'm working as hard as I can to get rid of it, I promise.
We are here to talk about how much money we spent living in the van in a month. We tried to divide it into categories that made the most sense.
We live in this van full time. We travel full time, some months more than others. Obviously, our expenses fluctuate a little bit based on what we're doing in any given month. Right. We have expenses that are pretty fixed, and we'll go over what those are. We know that there's a lot of people out there interested in van life and the cost of living in a van, whether it's affordable, whether you save money versus the money you would spend living in a house, and kind of the pros and cons of what those expenses look like.
That's exactly right.
Thanks. For this example, we're gonna go through the month of October 2018. We were actually just crunching the numbers this morning just for our own budgeting purposes. We like to stay on top of our finances. October was a pretty spendy month for us.
So many people want to know how expensive it is to live in a van. Really, the easiest answer to that question is it can be as expensive as you want it to be. Go out to eat 3 meals a day, do whatever frivolous activities you want to do, and spend tons of money. You could live on rice and beans and probably not drive anywhere, and it could be super cheap.
Pause it.
The heater just kicked on. All right, let's get this show back on the road.
Perfect. You're much better framed now.
I'm in the exact same spot. My knee just isn't on top of your leg.
You're driving me crazy.
All right, we're back.
Okay.
Now we moved some pillows and we turned off the heater. Anyways, I don't really want to get all this information out there, but everybody wants to know, so we're being vulnerable and opening up our personal finances to satisfy the opinions of strangers. Some of you aren't strangers, some of you are. If you're not a stranger, hi.
Here's our honest breakdown of October 2018 finances. We're gonna start with the fixed expenditures.
Number 1, fixed expenditure, the loan of the van. A lot of people like to buy their van outright. I like to buy the brand new van. I don't have the money to buy the brand new van, so we financed the van. Our van payment every month is $598.
Basically, that would be our rent or our mortgage. The next fixed expenditure are all of the insurances we pay for. So we have renter's insurance. A lot of people ask us how we insure all of our belongings. So the best way that we've found out how to do this is we have renter's insurance tied to our physical address at Trent's family's house in Utah.
Yep.
And that insures all of our camera equipment, all of our belongings anywhere in the world.
All of our belongings, period.
Yeah.
And I think it's like $11 a month.
It's extremely affordable
So
and very comprehensive.
Everything inside the van, all of our stuff is covered for $11 a month. Other than that, we pay
car insurance. We added an additional, I think it was $15,000 of
coverage on the vehicle, which is basically the conversion was $15,000. We have Geico. We called them up. We said we want to insure this vehicle and we want to add $15,000 worth of coverage to it, like 80 something dollars a month. Right. So the total for insurance
is $80 a month. I don't know why. It was a lot cheaper for me to be the primary driver.
It's because Trent has an extensive driving record riddled with moving violations and speeding tickets and all kinds of things. Moving on.
And then our last fixed insurance expense would be health insurance. This is kind of in flux right now. We budget about $100 a month for our health insurance.
We're getting new health insurance.
We're getting new health insurance right now. We went from fixed expenditures.
And then we have one that's semi-fixed, and that's fitness. Your gym memberships or things like that. I have an old gym membership that's in Salt Lake City that I still haven't canceled. It goes under this category. Now I'm in trouble.
Why does that
Allie
exist?
because I haven't gone in and canceled it.
Wow.
Come on. Allie has a Planet Fitness membership. While traveling in October, we visited a couple gyms where we just paid for like a day membership with some friends. So the total for fitness category is...
Fitness is 68.
68, sorry, I need glasses. Now we're gonna move on to the categories that fluctuate and vary greatly every single month. The first one being...
Propane.
Gas. Jeez.
Gas. Probably our highest expense, regardless of what we're doing any month. And in October, it was extremely high because we were traveling constantly. We covered like, how many states you think? Like 10 different states and a bit of Canada?
We went from Wisconsin to Michigan to Canada to Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then down into Washington, D.C.
We traveled a lot.
So this includes all of our gasoline. It also includes the propane that we had to fill up at the beginning and during the month. And the total for gas comes out to be
$856. Whew.
Almost $900 in gas.
That's a lot. So yes, that is combined gas and propane. Propane is normally around $30 to fill. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
And I think in October, we filled up propane twice because we were in some colder climates, and we like to keep the van pretty well regulated because when the dog is in here, we want him to be very comfortable.
I would say we spent $45 in propane, so like 1.5 times of filling up, basically.
Sure.
Some places gas was really expensive when you're in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes it was a good deal, but regardless, gas is a huge expense.
I think no matter what you're doing in van life, this will always be your primary expense. Regardless if you've bought a van outright, whatever your insurance costs are.
If you're traveling. If you're not
That's
traveling,
true.
You might just kind of float around your city and you might fill up like once a week and your gas might be like 150 or 200 bucks a month. But if you're traveling, you're putting like multiple tanks in per day, you're definitely gonna rack that bill up.
We get around 15 miles to the gallon,
Yeah,
would you say?
on average.
On average. So moving on to
Dining.
dining.
Dining is our Achilles heel. It is the worst splurging category that we have.
We love food.
We are suckers. We get recommendations from everybody. You gotta try this, you gotta try that.
The way I justify it is when you are exploring and traveling new areas, you want to immerse yourself in that culture. A big
Absolutely.
part of culture and the identity of an area is their food. So we have no choice but to explore at length the food scene in every area we pass through.
So we go out to eat way too much is basically what we're setting up to say. Our dining for last month was
$650 at restaurants.
$650. Dining includes coffee shops, donuts, sandwiches, and restaurants. It's not like just going out to get fancy dinners or something like that. It includes every restaurant or establishment that we bought food at. So
I like that he has to say donuts because that's definitely its own expense when you're traveling with a guy like
we probably
Trent.
spent like 80 bucks on donuts.
Wow!
We did. We went to the multiple donut locations.
He has a major sweet tooth also. If it were just me, this expense category would be like
We're not
way tinier.
We're not here to make each other look bad.
Moving on, we're gonna try to really budget that better in the coming months.
We go over to our grocery category, and the total for that,
$266 for grocery. So this includes farmers markets.
obviously our groceries are less than half of what we spent on dining. That's a huge problem. We're gonna budget and work on that better. But like we touched on before, when you travel, you gotta try the people's food, but you don't gotta try their coffee and their donuts all the time, so.
We also really try to be intentional about supporting local communities. So we do really try to go to farmers markets, to shop locally and think globally, all of that. We're really into helping communities as we go. So
The last category,
miscellaneous items.
Misc.
Comes out to $255 for the month of October. So
Miscellaneous pretty much covers any trinkets, any clothes, any products that we bought that we couldn't eat.
we took like a couple tours in some of the cities we were in.
So $250, $255 seems like kind of a lot, but when you take in the fact that we had to pay a bunch of toll roads, we had to go into New York City, we had to do, I mean, there's a lot of places that we went that like your money goes very quickly. So like we tried to be very frugal with that. Only spending $255 in the miscellaneous category, I feel like is a win. If you add up all the categories that we just listed off, the full total comes to $2,787. That's not that bad considering, what was our rent in Salt Lake?
$1,400 a month.
$1,400 a month.
So
like rent and food and gas would have definitely been more if we stayed in Salt Lake City. So
true.
like, it just goes to show that you can go out and travel and experience different areas, spend what you think is a bunch of money, but since you're living frugally and living in a van, it's actually still kind of a savings.
I would say this month was a splurge month for us, which we're gonna try really hard to rein in next month. This is not sustainable for our pockets.
November is no spending November.
No spend November. I like that.
I think that's basically gonna do it for the expense video. If you guys have any other questions about how much we spend or where we spend it or what we bought or any type of question at all, leave it in the comments. If you guys could all like the video, I mean, you don't have to, but it'd be cool if you did.
We would appreciate it.
If you guys have seen us around but you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. We'd really love to have you.
We're actually headed toward Asheville, North Carolina next. Thinking about maybe even doing a meetup in Asheville. If there's people in that area or nearby that would want to hang out next Saturday, let us know maybe. We'll try to make it happen.
Yeah, weather permitting.
Yeah.
I don't want to like roll up in the rain and have to like hang out in the van and be like, hey everybody, come in the van, and like try to cram 50 people in here.
We could try.
That might not be fun. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.
And we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys on the next one.
Bye.
So now if you add up, now if you add up all the categories.
Sorry.